Have you ever been in a meeting or a group setting, shared a brilliant idea, and then the room just moves on? People keep talking as if you haven't even spoken. And then 5 minutes later, someone says the exact same thing, and suddenly it's the best idea ever. And you sitting there thinking, wait, didn't I just say that? If you felt invisible, ignored, or like you're shouting into a void, you aren't crazy and you aren't lacking confidence. You're caught in a deep unconscious pattern that has nothing to do with your job title, your name, or where you're from, and everything to do with how we've been taught to shrink. Today, we're getting unpatterned on why women aren't being heard and how to take our voices back. When our voice doesn't land, we don't get annoyed. We start to adapt. We begin to edit ourselves and soften our language. We start over-explaining ourselves. Sorry, I just thought, or I might be wrong, but. We apologize before we've even begun. What we're doing in that moment is shrinking our authority. We're asking for permission to exist in the conversation. But here's the thing, this pattern didn't start in the boardroom. The workplace is just where it's made more visible. In my own life, I felt like I had to be feisty. I had to push harder and prove more just to be heard, and it was exhausting. I was trying to get through to people who, let's be honest, were conditioned not to truly see or respect what women brought to the table. I felt like I was being humored, acknowledged on the surface, but definitely not taken seriously. This pattern of not being heard, it shows up in our families, in every single relationship, and across generations. Women have been labeled as too emotional, too difficult, and thought of as less than. And we have to acknowledge the elephant in the room, the patriarchal and cultural conditioning. For generations, women have fought to have an opinion, to be acknowledged, and many of us carry an invisible rule that says stay small and don't rock the boat. And when you feel that bumpy energy or uncertainty when you speak, you aren't just fighting your own nerves, you're fighting a system that has historically preferred your silence. And if we don't express what we know and feel, we're buying into that old story. And that was a turning point for me. If I don't speak, what's the point? There's another layer we don't talk about enough, and that's the competition and judgment between women at work and in our personal lives. And sometimes when we aren't heard, it's because of that subtle dismissal from another woman in the room, that raised eyebrow or hushed whisper. This isn't because something is wrong with us. It's alert behavior. It's a survival pattern. When space at the top feels limited, we are programmed for separation instead of collaboration. And many women feel, often unconsciously, that they have to give up their softness or their intuition to belong. But those qualities, reading the room, sensing what's not being said, are exactly where the most powerful ideas come from. When we disconnect from that to fit in, we lose the very thing that makes our voice unique. Breaking this pattern isn't about learning to lean in or be more aggressive. It's about recognizing the pattern underneath that behavior. We grew up as peacemakers, told to be polite, be agreeable, be silent. And by the time we enter the boardroom, there's a whole negotiation going on in your head. Is it safe for me to say this? Will I sound too strong? Am I being too bossy? And communication is about the authority you carry. Your voice is your birthright, and you don't need to wrap your ideas in apologies. When we feel unheard, our breath gets shallow. We speak from our throats, which sounds thin or uncertain. So before you speak in that meeting, drop your breath into your belly. Speak from your center, not your throat. The room will feel that shift before they actually hear your words. When one woman speaks clearly and confidently, and when she truly listens to what someone else is saying, she silently gives permission for every woman in the room to do exactly the same thing. And this is how we change the culture, not through force, but through our presence. If you've ever felt that silence in your career or relationships, I'd love to hear your story in the comments below. In my next video, I'm going to be diving deeper into the ghost in the throat, the inherited silence that stops us from speaking even when we should. So if you're ready to reclaim your voice and remember who you really are, hit subscribe and don't miss the next one. I'm your host, Minky K. Till next time, be kind and take care.